So peer community in, PCI for short, Registered Reports, was launched in April 2021. And this is a dedicated community who receive, review and recommend registered reports across the full spectrum of STEM, medicine, the social sciences and humanities. Stage 1 and 2 preprints are reviewed independently of journals. So here's the first game changer. You submit your stage 1 protocol as a preprint, for example, on the Open Science Framework. You log into the Peer Community in Registered Reports website. You provide the link to your preprint stage 1 manuscript, and it goes from there. The reviewers and recommenders pick it up and they review the preprints instead. Now, PCRRR is a non-profit, non-commercial platform that coordinates the peer review of these preprints, and I think it's a game changer. So here's the process. It's a little bit tricky to see in this figure, and I'll go through it with you. You submit your stage 1 registered report to a repository of your choice. This can be the OSF, it can be GitHub. You log into the website and you upload your manuscript. And at this point, the managing board and the recommenders, who are action editors, review your stage 1 manuscript. And if it meets our instructions to authors, if it meets our guidelines and review criteria, it's then sent out for review. If not, it could be sent back to you with either a desk reject or the decision to revise and resubmit. So you've got to go along with the guidelines, of course, but then your stage 1 proposal, if judged favourably by the managing board and recommenders, is sent out for peer review. And it's peer reviewed by experts in the field. You can recommend them and the recommenders will look for people as well. And then you get revisions, or you might, if you're lucky enough, it might be accepted outright, but you typically get revisions. And if you then satisfy the reviewer's comments, your registered report is recommended. And what this means is it's posted on the Peer Community in website saying that you've got in principle acceptance and your stage 1 manuscript has been recommended. And I'll go through this more in a little while. You then go off and collect your data or analyse the results, append your stage 2 manuscript to stage 1, again via a OSF repository or a preprint repository, and it's then evaluated again. If you've stuck to your protocol, regardless of the results, your paper is then accepted by Peer Community in Registered Reports. So in stage 1, as I said, you've submitted your questions, your plan, your analysis, and you can do this for both quantitative and qualitative research. Now, the great thing about registered reports in general, but also PCI registered reports, is that we cannot make subjective judgments about the importance, novelty, or timeliness of your research question. Instead, we look at the following 5 criteria, and this is what you should try to answer and do when submitting via this route. So here, we're looking at the scientific validity of a research question. Is it grounded in theory or models, for example? We're looking at the plausibility and the rationale for your hypotheses. If applicable, you can also have research questions. We're looking at the feasibility and the soundness of your methodology and your design. We're also checking that you have a good analysis pipeline, that there's no potential for undisclosed flexibility. We also want to check for the absence of floor or ceiling effects, or ensuring that you're able to test those hypotheses. So, for example, manipulation checks or attention checks. And what this creates is just a really robust study in the first place that can reliably test scientific hypotheses or research questions without anybody having to worry if the results go in the way that you might want them to or might not. So it really takes that focus away from the results, and it's about designing the most rigorous experiments or studies. So as I say, if your stage 1 protocol is accepted, then the recommender, action editor, writes a recommendation and posts this on the PCI website, along with the reviews and the responses. So everything is open, everything is transparent. And this allows it to be cited as well. So stage 1 manuscripts and also reviewer comments, for example, can be cited through a DOI. And again, this is just a great feature of this platform. And if you're worried about your data collection and you want this embargoed, then you simply just say that to PCI Registered Reports, and your study remains embargoed for how long you need it to. So again, they've kind of thought about all of the potential barriers and mitigated this from the get-go. So you might be thinking, okay, this sounds quite interesting, a little bit exciting, but I might do it, I might not. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you the real game changer that I think comes with this. But here are some examples of recommended stage 1 protocols so far, and there's many coming through the pipeline. And given that it was only April when this took off, I'm really excited for how quickly people recognise the value of PCI registered reports and how many articles we're actually getting to review. Okay. So after completing the research, you just append the stage 1 manuscript. And the important thing here is that when the reviewers review your stage 2 manuscript, they cannot go over the theory and hypotheses again. They can't become concerned all of a sudden about the methods upon seeing the results. So this prevents knowledge of the results from influencing any reviewer or editorial decisions. So again, it's protecting researchers and protecting authors. Okay, here's the game changer. So upon stage 2 acceptance, authors can then choose to publish from a list of PCI-friendly journals that will accept your registered report without the need for additional peer review. So now the authors are back in control and they decide where to send that stage 2 manuscript. And I was quite excited about this anyway, but I'll tell you about my experience in a minute. But so far, there are a lot of journals joining, and there are a lot of journals expressing their interest, and we are getting more and more week upon week. So one of my own journals, Addiction Research and Theory, they will accept stage 2 manuscripts without the need for additional peer review because it's been done by PCI registered reports. It's been outsourced. So an advantage for the journal as well is that their peer review is actually outsourced and they don't need to worry about that anymore. We've also got BMJ Open Science, F1000 Research, PeerJ, Royal Society Open Science. There are many, many journals that are joining as PCI friendly journals.